If there's space around the table, then even the people can see it back. So the little people are in front, the shorties are in front, the long people are in the back. The farther you get back, the more people can see the table. The old people can be up front, but most of the little people are allowed to be up front here today. So we want to thank you for coming today. I see some new faces here, so I thought I might, while we're preparing things, we might talk a little bit about Gandhacharya Monastic University. Presently, it's located in South India, in the southern India, formerly at 16,000 feet in Tibet. There are 5 major subjects that are studied at Gandhacharya. They traverse 25 years. We have 2 Geshis with us here today, Geshe Wangyal, and of course Geshe Laten is somewhere around here. Geshe Laten is some right here. Geshe Laten coming through here. These are our primary teachers on the tour. And to obtain a Geshe's degree is approximately 25 years, 6 days a week, 5 a.m. to midnight. And it traverses 5 classes. 6 perfections are studied 5 years. That's 1 perfection, almost a year. So these are things like giving, ethics, patience, joyful perseverance, concentration, and wisdom. There is maybe 2 or 3 years or more spent studying mind, functions in the mind, foundations, reason, logic, epistemology, labeling the different parts of the mind. This is maybe 2 to 3 years. And then there's maybe 3 years spent studying emptiness, that all phenomena, both inner and outer phenomena, first the person, and then the outer phenomena lack essence. You can't find any. We say we're the no-soul people. There are some religions that are the soul people. We're the no-soul people, meaning there's no eternal, everlasting essence. Everything is a fabrication. You can't come up with a final drop of the person or phenomena. So if we start to examine the building, is it the walls, the ceiling, the beams, the floor? We can't say there's the building. Same way with the person. It's projected up 5 aggregates. We can't find the person either. So what we call emptiness is not nothingness, it's the absence of something, the absence of the person and the absence of the essence of phenomena. These 3 classes also require 6 hours a day of Socratic debate, where the Buddhist teachings are challenged. Maybe we can defeat them. If so, we have to change the text. If you come and defeat us, then we have to go with your view. So it's a very open system. There's some years spent on cosmology. Presently, Buddhist cosmology and quantum physics look exactly alike. So this is very unusual. We actually are building science buildings in the monastery to teach quantum physics, because the Buddha taught quantum physics, how the world systems come into existence, the particle-like structure of phenomena. The Buddha taught all these things. And so I just went to the physics conference a year and a half ago, 4 kilometers from us. There were 5 physicists that gave presentations. His Holiness Dalai Lama was there, and there's this harmony between quantum physics and Buddhism, which is very unusual. The monks also study their moral behavior. There are 253 precepts or vows they take. If they keep their vows purely, these vows are there to keep them from harming living beings and harming the environment. If they keep their vows purely, no harm is done to the environment or living beings. So the precepts actually generate or produce a superior being, one that does no negative actions of body, speech, or mind. So you need only be around a monk, a highly evolved monk, for a few moments, and you begin to feel his presence and understand that these are superior beings. They're solely here for the welfare of all others. I said earlier that Buddhist monks have just 3 possessions, or maybe 4. A cup, a spoon, a bowl. There were 2 sets of robes, and their text. That's it. So they're happy, and they're free to study their whole lives. You and I, we sleep 20 years, work 20 years, collect and cook food 15 years. We're 55. In the car 5 years, we're 60. Hang out with our friends 5 years, 65. We're in the bathroom 2 years. The gals are in there 3 years. So if we, I'm waiting for a shot. So if we add it all up, if you live to be 70, as a worldly person, you only have 2 years of your life free for your spiritual practice. So whereas the monks, there's no tuition, our food is free, our robes are free, our texts are free, everything is free, our whole life. So just to have the cause of being a Buddhist monk is this is unbelievable. You have to have vast positive potential to be a Buddhist monk in a life, to have potential to enter a monastery and have a life where you're completely free to study spirituality. So I think we're going to invite some people up. We have to make some gifts here. For weeks and weeks, people have planned our visit here, maybe even longer than that, maybe for a full year. So we want to say thank you to them. So we'll call out some people like Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Is Megan here? Is she here now? Please come up. We want to say thank you to Megan. And she represents the whole fellowship. Oh, we're going to have to do that later, okay? There's two here. There's two here. There's Ni here. Shuku Ni. This is the Chaluk. This is the Sasha. This one. And then there's Shanda. Imare. Megan. Okay, we're giving Megan a little image of Dukar. It's a female Buddha with 1,000 heads, 1,000 arms. And she has a white parasol above her head. Dukar means white parasol. So Dukar has the potential to protect you from the heat of your delusions, just like a parasol protects you from the heat of the sun. So under Dukar's feet, you can see countless beings that she's subordinating with her power. She has the power to remove the negative imprints or the delusions in the minds of living beings and the negative potentials in the environment. So this is Dukar. You're receiving the white umbrella today. Okay? Thank you. This is me. We already gave her to me. New York. And we have Susan and Jeff Lieberman. Susan and Jeff have helped us about a quarter of a century. Since 1990, 92, they've been helping us. So they're still hanging in there with us. Thank you for that.
Susan.
This is the Tara Mandala we're giving Jeff and Susan. Where is Susan? Okay, we'll have to wait on Susan, perhaps.
There she is.
Susan, I need you up here. Come on.
Hi, Susan.
Okay, we have Peter Sprague and Leonard Patton. Okay, this is going to be received. This is the people that did a fundraiser at your house?
Yes.
So these people actually did a fundraiser for us. We usually try to generate maybe $5,000 from a mandala. So prior to our event, there were many fundraisers locally, and Ellen hosted in the California Center for Creative Renewal, her home, where she does a lot of art therapy and things like this. She hosted a musical event, and there were the musicians were Peter Sprague and Leonard Patton. They raised about $1,000 for us that night.
Nice.
So we're thanking them. Okay, this is Christy Turner.
Yay!
Christy Turner's been here all the time. Thank you, Christy. And these certificates are the debate courtyard. Our debate courtyard, I have a picture of it there. It's actually 4 acres inside. It can hold 10,000 monks in debate. and a little certificate. And in front, you can see all these red dots. Those are the monks, okay? In the certificate, maybe they'll show you a certificate. There is a debate courtyard with the monks in front of it. Just it's a photograph of it. Thank you. Yeah. Susan, you know who these other katas are for here? Do you have the list?
We have Doug DeStefano with AwakeningHearts.com.
Okay, come up here. Okay, give me his name.
Doug DeStefano with Awakening Hearts.
Okay,
He has a
Awakening Hearts. Do you have a local calendar for us?
And we have Soko. I call Soko Monkus.
Soko's been at many of our events in the background working for us. Thank you.
And we have Marcia.
We have our friend Marcia here. Marcia is, we had us in her home numerous times for dinner and also did a lot of work in preparation for our arrival here. Thank you, Marcia. And also Helga, who's been constantly following us around and working for us.
Christy, can you come up, please? We have Dorothy as well, of course.
Dorothy, please come up.
Dorothy.
Is there a Dorothy here?
Yeah, Dorothy is back in the back of the church.
Oh, yeah. She's been over
Oh,
our
yeah,
meditation.
I see Dorothy now. I forget people's names. I meet lots of people. I see Dorothy now. Okay. Thank you, Dorothy, for your help.
More about insight. That's Christy. Christy, can you come up just for a moment, please?
So, it looks like Susan's memory's failing her.
No, I just forget for the kitchen, for the cook, for the. They're not here. Oh, they're not here? They're not here, actually.
So these beings are not here. Maybe we'll mention their name. We'll mention the name.
Okay, Janet,
Janet,
Carrie,
Carrie.
and
See, I'm not the only one.
Also, looks like Chrissy's losing her memory too.
Also Lola.
So we'll give these out later, okay? How about that?
I said that.
Okay.
Anyway, if you could say Lola's name. Lola.
Lola, also Lola. Lola, we know
Carrie's
Lola.
here.
There's Carrie. And Carrie, come on up.
Oh, Carrie, there she is, of course. Okay. Thank you.
Sarson. No, Sarson. No, Del-shape it says. Okay, you know, something to do, but not to tea. Yeah, I'm gonna try. So, what you see before you is the celestial mansion of Manjushri. You can see Manjushri right here a little bit. He's golden in color. This is the resident, the primary resident in this mandala, and he is represented by the syllable D on the white and red lotus in the center. The D syllable is actually the heart seed syllable that resides in his mind. Now keep in mind, these structures are three-dimensional, they're luminous in nature, they're generated with a mind that you and I only momentarily pass through at the time of death. And this mind has three factors. It's called the mind of radiant clear light, and it's luminous, it's all-pervading, and it has inexhaustible bliss. Now everyone has this. But you and I project our delusions on a very gross level, on phenomena, and on our five aggregates, so we don't experience this mind. But the whole celestial mansion, three-dimensional in nature, just like this house, is here if you know how to read it. We've taken the top off, folded it in and out. Also, many of the syllables are upright on the petals. It actually is like a huge house, a palace. Okay? A lot of text, so not that okay?
이런 이제 먼저 버치니까 산에 붙이다 강부에 친다 선만하네 도지 대표가 선만 도지 지에 지나도록 버치네 아주 기분이 샤도가
King Cordell text, okay? Not Tati. So also, guest was mentioning, we've had a home this whole time out in Rancho Santa Fe, a giant house. We all have our own bedroom. This is unusual, So we, Denise and her family, Denise Walsh and her family, have hosted us here. Maybe 5 tours in Encinitas, and she gives her house to us when we come. So we don't see Denise here today, but we're very grateful, and we just take over Denise's house. So we're very happy, and all of you are also contributing to this by being present here today. So this mandala actually represents the collective potentials of our positive actions and our present and past positive actions. In fact, from our point of view, you wouldn't be here today unless you had generated some positive karmas. And what we're referring to as positive, we mean imprints. You have to have positive imprints on your mind to even appear here today with us. So this is the celestial mansion of, as we said, Manjushri. You can see Manjushri here, golden in color, holding a flaming sword. Upon his shoulder, he holds a lotus stem in his heart, and upon his shoulder are the texts of the Panchaparamita. These are the texts on wisdom. So he's primarily the Buddha of wisdom. Okay, so in the center, we described before, this seed syllable represents Manjushri. He's a little difficult to put in there in sand. He's quite complicated. So it's simpler for us. Some we do try to put the bodies in there, but he is represented by the seed syllable in his heart. And of course, that stands upright on the lotus. And surrounding him on the lotus petals are his mantra, Om Arapata Nadi. So the D is in the center. That represents these all stand upright around Manjushri in the center. That's his mantra. So this, the lotus petals that these our letters are upon, the letters of the mantra, the lotus represents the purity of the heart mind of Manjushri. It's empty of delusions. It has no fabrications. In fact, it's empty as the sky, and it's all pervading as the sky. So you can see the 4 colors and the 4 quadrants here, white, yellow, red, and green. The center will be blue. So these represent the 5 aggregates that you and I have as normal beings: form, feeling, consciousness, discrimination, and compositional factors. These also are where we project our delusions on these 5 aggregates. Every living being, human being has these 5 aggregates. But these are actually transformed through Manjushri's practice into what we call the 5 Dhyana Buddhas, which have 5 families. And these 5 families, each one of each family controls a certain aspect over an aggregate. So these are the purified forms of the 5 aggregates that you and I have. And they've now been purified. They manifest as 5 Dhyana Buddhas. So the red quadrant and the green quadrant actually represent certain aspects of mind. So in us, the red quadrant might represent desire, and the green might represent jealousy. So these are unpurified forms of the 5 aggregates. But here, They represent, so the red would be the pure faculty of discrimination, discerning wisdom or analysis that takes place. And the green would be the accomplishing actions of a Buddha, that every action of body, speech, and mind of a enlightened being, everything is to enlighten other beings. Even just to move one finger is to enlighten other beings. Okay, we're talking about now, you can see around the mandala there's a celestial garden, and placed in this garden there's trees with vases, and these represent the 6 powers of a Buddhist kingdom. There are also umbrellas in the 4 corners held up by monkeys that represent the power of the mandala to protect one from the heat of delusions. So we begin to examine the mandala. You can see the white parapet on the roof, and there's some downspouts hanging from this. And then there are actually tinkling jewels hanging from the roof. So the mandala also has sounds. So it isn't just something you visualize. It involves the 5 senses. And there are banners of victory, victory over the delusions and the negative states of mind, as well as there's a red veranda around the 5-colored wall on this stand offering goddesses. And they are making offerings to Manjushri within the center of the mandala, and we haven't put their forms there, they're too complicated. We're put in their hand, what they hold in their hands, the offerings they're making, such as water for the feet, water for the mouth, flowers, incense, perfume, light, and sound. So these are some of the offerings that these offering goddesses are making. Surrounding this is a 64-petal lotus. So remember, this ordinary body that you and I have never becomes enlightened. We need a luminous form to attain enlightenment in. That's what this is about. And so this is about generating a luminous form. And within the subtle body, speech, and mind, there are actually 64 drops and petals. 64 channels and drops that are located within the subtle body. These are used to create luminous forms. Surrounding this there's a sphere of diamond light. There's a black circle. It's actually a sphere. And you can see little vajras in it. And Vajra in Sanskrit, Dorji in Tibetan, represent the word means indestructible, it means diamond, it also means thunderbolt. So this represents the power of protection of this mandala. Then again, it's surrounded by 5 colors of flame. This is a sphere of flames. And what this does, and nobody, when deluded minds can get near this, it burns their delusions. This the fire, it sears away the negative minds as beings approach this. So keep in mind that just to gaze upon the mandala has the power to remove negative imprints. It also places positive imprints on our mind stream to be born later in a land where Buddhist teachings take place. You know, that just the power the mandala has to do this. Mandalas can actually even stop wars if they're done with appropriate actions. So the mandala is a way to remove the negative minds. So there are both outer, inner, and secret descriptions or meanings of the mandala. Of course, the secret are hidden. They're usually whispered ear to ear. So these are very powerful objects. You can even hide beings in these. Maybe even go to other world systems in these. If this particular world system would dissolve, a high being could pull you into this and just emanate in this light form to another world system. So the powers of mandalas are just beyond even us knowing about.
아니 진보들의 소주다 그 여자 공부를 좀 내와요. 나 소속기는 군대 아마도 토비야 기하고 이제 안 결합 되는 소속 시스템을 되게다 매제 이게 요 이제 뭐 안자기 남대 김고 줄다 아니 고정도 된 줄로서 안남 유모로 잡아야 네버치아요.
So but the mandalas are it's a way of removing our delusions. This is a very high method. We talk about an ordinary method outside this morning, like the delusions or such things as hatred, anger, desire, attachment, ignorance, doubt, wrong views, and pride. So these can be removed conceptually on an ordinary view. Just one example, the primary antidote for anger was delusion, but this is on a much higher level. This is where everything is dissolved completely. And we talked earlier about the self-grasping outside. We talked about how this is the primary ignorance, is this grasping at a self. And this is what the wisdom is about with Manjushri. It's the wisdom of selflessness. And if we cut the root of selflessness, immediately a peace manifests in our heart. Love and compassion manifests in our heart because we begin to see that everybody's creating their own problems. Even whole countries create their own problems. So this is a way of showing us a higher way. This is from the Tantric or Vajrayana Vyoko. This is a higher way of subduing beings, is to generate these mandalas. You can actually be taken inside. The Lama will generate them. He'll bless you with the body, speech, and mind of the present deity. He'll then set you outside in a luminous form. Then you will do this practice the rest of this life. Ultimately, possibly, you're having the potential to attain enlightenment in one lifetime.
아니 이모게 정말 진압이 아니 그거 완전히 굉장히 강오름지 그거 완전히 난 요게
So we have here this little butter lamp at the end of the table here they're pointing to. So we do the mandala once a year in the monastery. It's done in a tent, a gauze tent. You can't see it be made. Only on the last day. You can walk by, you open the partition of the tent, maybe this one. You can glimpse it for maybe 3 seconds because somebody's behind you pushing you by. So you can only glimpse it a few seconds. And this is accompanied by maybe 7 days of rituals by 1,000 monks to empower the sound. So we have brought some of that sand here to mix with this sand. Also, we have brought other sand from, this is a year and a half ago in Bodh Gaya, where His Holiness the Dalai Lama gave us the Kala Chakra initiation. There were 200,000 people present. And usually the preparations for the mandala there are up to a month. And the mandala itself might take 10 days to create with teams of monks. It's 8 feet in diameter. So we have some of that sand that is blessed by, there were 50,000 monks present, 200,000 people total. That sand is also in this little, what we call a butter lamp here. So when the monks will begin, so when we begin the ritual, we're going to actually invite Manjushri in this celestial mansion here. We'll be making offerings to him, we're praising him and asking him to bless everybody with his wisdom here. He will descend into the mandala, bless the sand. Then we'll be taking certain parts out that are more important and placing them in a little disc. Then we'll begin to sweep maybe the 4 directions and the 8 directions. Slowly the sand will be swept to the center. Once it's piled up there, we'll actually take the little butter lamp here with the sand from the 2 mandalas in India and we'll pour it into this sand. Now, we'll give you each a little bag of sand. We'll give you each a little bag of sand. So this is there's a lot of power in the sand, so keep this in mind. You can bless just a tiny minute pinch in the 4 corners of your house or the 4 corners of your property. This has the power to purify your property, your garden, your home. You can even reawaken springs with it. You always should save a little, because at the time of death, if you attach some sand to your crown with a little butter or oil, it causes some consciousness to leave the crown at the time of death. It guarantees you human form for the next life.
자와지 동학교 사부슈니 두지시 쇼고는 지난주 신디 중원에서 먼저 공부 자와지 동학 얘기 좀 취하다 공부시한테 튕기는 그거 근데 먼저 배셔라고 사원이 땅에 지난주 그래서 저는 저 받으면 사야 되실 텐데 공부하다 먼저 그냥 지난주 르르 비야 동네만 semla 동네만 르라니 안에는 메시지 시대가 계약이 많은 모든 것들이 내게 도지치.
So we begin to think about, how dependent we are on the Mandala House, dependent it is even on the local environment, because we had to have a building to build a mandala in, even a floor to set the table on. And of course, our surrounding us, the community, all this we're actually dependent upon too. So just our gratitude and thanks go out to everybody from the church just expanding outwards. And some people have come from Los Angeles even. So this is, we're just thanking you for giving us the opportunity to create the Manjushri Mandala here. Also, from our side, you're helping us immensely. You're providing food and clothing, housing, pets for over 1,500 monks in South India. So just by being here, you're generating countless merit. From your own side, you actually have adopted over 1,500 monks just from your presence here today. Even buying an article from the concession actually is generating positive potentials for you. This means that you'll encounter Buddhist monks in the future. So I think we're going to go ahead and start the ritual. Joe, I need the long microphone cord. So in your own mind stream today, try to include as many living beings as possible, Make wishes for peace on the planet. We just had a half-hour, 20-minute lecture on peace starts. That's up to you. You have to make peace in your own heart first. That's where peace starts. Peace is within. When you manifest peace within, then peace comes without. So keep that in mind. Guess what was the cheek? Guess what was it?
See, you need us to move. He's okay.
Chun